Hello everyone. I hope all of you are fine. So we have been talking about the Indian economy for a while, and we'll continue to do so. A few topics have been left, and one of the major topic that's we can call it very significant topic in our development of the country is the industrial development in India. So you know what, our country has been known for its industrial pursuit, not only since past few decades or centuries. It is known since the uh, beginning of the Indus Valley civilization. So even 2,000 years back, our country was renowned for its shipbuilding or the ship manufacturing agencies. So much so that people from all across the globe, they used to come and buy the ships from our country. So say in shipbuilding we were fabulous. We were and not only shipbuilding, we were also known for our spices. We were known for our jewelries. We were known for our fashion apparels and many more things. Even to some extent, the grains, the cables. But we'll not be talking all those today. We'll be concentrating only on the pre-independence era and the post-independence era. So to be very specific, and all of you know it, that pre-independence era, we were in the clutches of the Britishers. And why Britishers came? Because they all the people, those who came to our country with an aim to attack and loot our country, their only aim was to take their bag full of the gold and the other inputs of the wealth. So the Britishers were lawless. They also were looting our country like anything, and in the process, they ensured that the industrial development is not only hampered, it has come to a standstill during their era. So it was the Britishers who, in fact, made it sure that all the raw materials that could have been procured in our country at a very cheap rate, they are being taken by those Britishers in their own country, and the same raw materials converted into finished goods, brought back to our country and sold it out at a very high prices. So that was the thing it was going on. But post-independence, we have a lot of development, and today we are one of the most developing countries. We are in line with some of the top countries of the globe, for that matter. So I am Professor P.K. Pathak, going to have a detailed discussions on the industrial development in our country. And before I actually proceed with the discussion, I'm going to urge all of you to do like, share, comment, and subscribe to my YouTube channel, and keep on receiving interesting videos. So now I'm going to share my presentation with you, and we'll be having a meaningful discussion on the topic. It's visible to all of you, I hope. So this is the topic: industrial development in India, with specific reference to the RBI Grade B based examination aspirants, but also it is equally applicable for all the management graduates or any other person who is just trying to get a fair amount of idea about the topics, irrespective of what kind of study he is pursuing or even not pursuing. We'll start with the topic. And let us see, pre-independence era, as I told you, that will be very specific about the situation which was there pre-independence era and what we have done in after pre-independence. So, as we told you, there was no process development of Indian industry in India, and that was purely because it was under the Britishers' rule. And you can see the intention of the Britishers was to reduce India to status of a mere exporter of the important raw materials for the upcoming modern industries in Britain. So it was actually this was the time when in the 16th and 17th century, it is known as the Industrial Revolution across the globe, and that began with the machine power-driven machines and coming up textile industries in Manchester. So there another aim was to turn India into a sprawling market for the finished products of those industries. Okay, so it was a systematic and pre-planned effort made by those people, and you can see the decline of the indigenous handicraft industries was created, and this led to a massive unemployment in India and as also the local goods were no more available, and there was a huge demand for the same items. So what these Britishers they did, they increased the imports of the cheap manufactured goods from Britain. Okay. There are these were the major industries before independence. However, because just making it completely negligible, it was not possible. So even during the British era, we some of the industries which were available, which were uh, being supported in our country are listed here. You can just look at it and you can make a note of it if you want. So iron and steel industry, aluminum industry, chemical fertilizer industry, cement industry, shipping industry, Hindustan shipyard and Visakhapatnam, paper industry. One was failed, the another was closed, the third one was successful and still working. The cotton textile industry, that's in the Kawaji Gawar in Mumbai. Similarly, jute industry in Risra, that is Kolkata, and woolen textile industry in Kanpur, with a renowned name, brand name, that is Lal. So these were major industries that were available even before the independence. Now coming back to the industrial development. Okay, as you can see, a lot of industrial resources and raw material are available in India, and it is rich of all these things. So Bhilai, Bokaro, Rourkela, Ranchi, Jamshedpur, and Renuport, they emerged as major centers during the first 1.5 decade of the independence. So 15 years. So during the 15 years, it was a huge development. And later on, industrialization at medium and small scale also was taken up in all the states. That was to boost up the manufacturing at even the small level. So what are the sectors that are being focused nowadays? Electronics, transport, and telecommunication. And the government has made it sure that private and public sectors both have grown side by side since independence. And let me tell you in this particular context that as per the books of economy, the governments are not meant to do the business. So doing business is not the business of the government. But then you will have a question as to why then the government is owning so many enterprises and companies. Also the PSUs, the public sector enterprises. One of the major reasons is that after the independence, not many businessmen were in a position to take over huge industries like and the businesses like India Railways and many other things. So that was one of the reason. The second reason is the security concern. So irrespective of how capable the private industrial people are, you cannot ask them to manufacture the nuclear goods for that matter. And the third one is public welfare, because all the private businessmen, their primary motive is to go for the profit, and so therefore it will not be available to the people at very reasonable prices. So these are the three reasons why the government was into the business. But with the passage of time, as our country becomes more and more strong, the things can be passed on to the private people as well, reducing the burden on the government, and the government will be able to be more efficient in looking after its administrative responsibilities. So let us see the chronology. In 1948, it was decided to reserve the right of control with the state over coal, steel, aviation, petrol industries, etc. So this has got many reasons, as I told you. Some of them they are big industries, some of them were required because of the public welfare, and so therefore, leaving all this, like coal, steel, aviation, and petrol industries, all of the industries were open to the private enterprises. But however, even in 1956, as the development process already began, the resolution was passed and the private capital was allowed to enter into the reserve sectors of the industry. So the above was what we have right now told. So even in those industries, the private people could enter. Okay. So, and next reason I'm telling you, even by that were owned by the government, like public sector enterprises and state enterprises, they ran into heavy losses, and this put a question mark on the capabilities of the Indian state and its approaches in managing its own establishment. Okay, and dealers started on the private-public sector partnership and divide. Okay, so subsequently, many of the government enterprises were handed over to the private entrepreneurs and industrialists. The process began right in 1956, till now it is continuing with more bigger nowadays. As you can see, some of the people say that the current mode, the government is selling all its business to the private people. But this is as per the economic policy, and nothing wrong in that, in principle, at least. So, the rate of industrial growth was fluctuating between 2 to 12% in the initial 15 days of the independence. And what were the enduring factors? It was the vast natural resources. We are a very rich natural resource country, and economic surplus, the large labor force, high urban concentration, because during those days we had only 4 or 5 major cities, and every thing was concentrating in those areas. The concentration of surplus within a small social group, availability of the trained person, the stable political structure, powerful means of state economic control, etc. So, if I have to tell you, the current growth rate is about 8%, and India has become one of the top developing countries when compared to the countries of Africa and South America. Some of the productions like that of the luxury goods, control of the monopolies, sluggish rate of agricultural development, all these factors, they however came as obstacles in the industrial development. But in spite of all these obstacles, the investment in the private sector have been increasing, and it has been increasing on and on. And not only that, we have got more collaborations with the industrial advanced countries like the USA, the United Kingdom, Russia, France, Germany, Italy, Japan, etc. And this goes on to say about India's industrial progress in particular. So during these various plans, small-scale industries were also focused a lot. Now let us see the industrial policy resolutions and how this impacted on the overall scenario. The first industrial policy resolution came into 1948. It contemplated a mixed economy, reserving spheres separately, that I already have told you in the previous slide. Then came the industrial policy resolution 1956, which laid down new classification of industries. So there were 3 categories made: Schedule A, Schedule B, and Schedule C. And there were various rules and regulations and the protocols regarding all these schedules. Then this was followed by the industrial policy of 77, 80, and that of the 91. And the 91 was a point of inflection, and a lot of detailed discussion has already been done in my previous video with specific reference to the 91 reform. So I'm not going to go about all those details. You can just cross-refer. You can check my discussions on the 91 reforms, and you will know what decisions were taken during those times. So just to quote, the gradual liberalization since 1956 was culminated, and it unshackled the Indian economy. So what happened during that reform of the liberalization, the abolition of the industrial licensing, dismantling of the price controls, deletion of the reservation of small-scale industries, and all these things associated enabled Indian industry to blossom. Now, apart from the industrial policy resolution, the 5-year plans also devised for the planning commission shaped the industrial development in our country. So, as you can see, the first 5 years plan was basically an agricultural plan, but industry also was not totally neglected. So, HMT, the integral coach factory, UP government cement factory, all were set up during the first 5-year plan, and all became very successful in the subsequent decades. Going on, the tempo of industrial development gathered momentum during the second 5-year with the industries like Rourkela Steel Plant, Bhilai Steel Plant, etc. being established. And its 5-year plan followed Industrial Policy Resolution 91, the result is all there to see. All of you know about it. Subsequently, small-scale industry was also recognized by the government of India as a priority sector, and this was purely because the common people, the private entrepreneurs at small level, they also flourish. Okay, and so this was for the rapid industrialization, for which is necessary for the balanced growth, employment intensive, and export earning. All these were the benefits for which the small and scale industry needed to be focused and supported. The 12th five-year plan envisages the capacity building, credit guarantee, launch of venture capital, etc. for micro, small, and medium enterprises, which is commonly known as MSM. So all this is the chronology of the industrial development. Similarly, the national manufacturing policy also was given a boost, knowing well that this is important for us to become an export-oriented country. In 2015, you can see India government announced Make in India scheme to foster the innovation, enhance the skill development, and protect the intellectual property rights. But this alone was not enough. So, in order to give a boost to the startups, it also started with the scheme of the Startup India. Okay. So, because it needed to encourage the entrepreneurship as a whole. Okay. So, apart from Startup India, add to the Mudra scheme, it also added to the Mudra scheme. So, industrialization in India, therefore, has come a long way from planning age to Niti Aayog, ensuring the cooperative federalism, revolutionary industrial policy, manufacturing policy, but yet we have to go miles. We have to go miles. I mean, this is just a fraction of what we could have actually achieved, because there are a lot of constraints in development. And we have got flaws, and we have got weaknesses, so we have to overcome all of these, and we need to grow at a much faster pace in order to be at par with some of the very developed countries. And I hope we can do it. Our country has got all better to go with it, like with the kind of the workforce and the population we have, where the 50% people are coming in the youth category. Now, our country also can flourish like some of the developed countries. So what is important is that culture of dependency, that is import, because right now we are most importing countries. And you know why? Because the difference, if you see, the import is to export ratio is very high. I mean, the import is much more than what we are actually exporting. So that has to come in favor of the export. And this we can only do through innovation and the scientific spirit. That has been envisaged in our fundamental duties. Okay. Similarly, the education also needs to be linked with industries, vocational education, so that the Indian youth are skilled and they can take on the process of indigenization. Okay. So, considering all this, the new mantra for industrialization in this century should be to educate, skill, innovate, along with a hospitable and encourage environment to improve ease of doing business in India. So, concluding, we can say that the real beginning of the modern industry in India recognized with the establishment of the cotton textile industry at Mumbai in 1854. Industrial development, which emerged in the 19th century, it was confined to a limited sector and it continued till 1940s, and the reason was obvious because the Britishers never wanted us to flourish. However, with the independence, it witnessed a change in the character and the purpose of industrialization for fast socio-economic growth development of our country. And this was channelized by a mixed economy with socialistic means and goals as well. Okay, so revival of the industries was imperative after independence for fast socio-economic development of India. But as I told you earlier, we have to go a lot, we have to travel a lot. Although we have been able to achieve something, but we are yet to achieve larger portion of what we could have actually achieved with the kind of inputs, the raw materials, the manpower, and the other resources being available to all of us. So that's it for the day. All of you are also going to contribute a lot to this industrial development by way of being very judicious about your role, in particular in whatever career you choose. Some of you even may go for the entrepreneurship, or others you can go wherever you decide to join a particular organization. Those organizations usually will be connected to a lot of startups or the business people, and it will your role also will be very important in the process of their development and ultimately in the development of the nation. So that's it for the day. I stop sharing now. You can mail your subject related queries to my mail ID, and that's it for the day. Hope all of you must have understood in a very short span of time about the industrial development, the whole journey that has been taken up in our context of our country. So just revise, note down some of the important points. If you have not noted during this process, you can note it down by just rewinding the video and listening it once again. And prepare well, go for your examination with full vigor. And I wish you all the best for your best success in the examination. Stay tuned, be focused, and the 3Ds are going to give you success: the dedication, devotion, and determination. So remember, proceed with all your efforts with full sincerity, and the sky is limit for you. Okay, so that's it for the day. Thanks for watching the video till the end. Once again, I urge all of you to do like, share, comment, and subscribe to my YouTube channel. And thank you once again for being very conscious and watching this video. Thank you. Have a nice day.